Hands-On is sponsored in part by Elmer's Products, Inc., manufacturers of a variety of adhesives, arts and crafts, and office products for use at home, school, or business for over 60 years. www.elmers.com. Dixon Ticonderoga. Our colors, their world. www.dixonusa.com.
Learn skills for a whole lifetime of crafting on this season of Hands-On. At school, home, or even in sports, each week we've got craft basics and great projects, each with 5 steps and 5 main ingredients. And every project teaches a new skill that you can use over and over again. Keep basic supplies like scissors, markers, toothpicks, and rulers on hand. And remember, be creative. Friends are one of the most important parts of life, and being a good friend is something everyone needs to learn. Today's crafts all center on friendship. First, show your friends you care with a get well or just a friendship photo gift. Then it's a lesson on pens. Your projects will be more successful if you match your tools to the surface. Next, it's a window card for any occasion you want to let your friends know you care. Last up, it's a friendship bracelet. So let's make a few friends. What friend wouldn't like to receive this great Get Well mug with pictures? Here's what you'll need. We started out with a kit that comes with a mug and special markers for ceramics. We have a styrofoam cylinder, some moss, some of your favorite pictures, the markers which came in the kit. Then we have pony beads, all different colors of wire, some glue, and our basics, scissors, pencil, and wire cutters. Now the first thing we want to do is to paint the design on our mug. Now we made on this example, we've said get well, but you could do just about anything. So we're going to wipe the mug first with a paper towel or a Kleenex, and then we're going to take these specially formulated markers for ceramics that come in the kit. And on this one, let's write best friends. Now you can draw freehand or you can sketch out your design with a pencil, and then when you're done, wipe away the pencil marks. But the marker is going to stay permanent. So I've got best, cap that off, and then let's take blue. Friends. And then you might want to include pictures just of you and your friend. Now we can add other designs around, maybe a border on it. Let's take our green and add a border, maybe a zigzag. You put that down so you can see it better. And you can get as creative as you'd like. You might make this for a holiday mug. It could be a birthday mug with candles. Then you're going to want to set this aside and let it dry. Now our next step, I've got one drawn here where we've put this and let it set, and you can see this is now permanent. I'm going to take my cylinder and I want to cut the top off. So I'm going to use just a plastic serrated knife and cut about a 1/2 inch or a little bit more off. And you use a sawing motion. And I'm working on a cutting mat so that I don't hurt any table or surface underneath it. I'm going to put that in, make sure it goes down low enough. And then I'm going to take some moss, especially if you were making this into a flower arrangement. You might want to put other moss there. Another thing is we're going to take our glue and just put a little glue on the surface here to make sure that our moss is nice and tight. We'll just tuck that down in. Okay, now the next step is to create our wire. Now you can choose all different colors and all different lengths, and I've got one here that's probably about 18 inches. I'm going to trim that off with my wire trimmers. And then I want to twirl this around. Now the important thing is you have to have at least 3 loops on the top. So I'm going to use one of my markers and twirl it around there. I'm going to hold it with my thumb and twirl around 3 times. Remember, at least 3 times. Slide that off my marker, and that's going to create the holder at the top to hold my picture. Now from there you can twirl it around your finger. You can add beads. Let me take a few beads over here and put them on the loops. And you're going to create all different varying lengths and colors of wire depending on how many pictures that you have. So in this one, I've just added a couple beads in the loops. I might go down and create more loops here, and then I'm going to stick it right in. Now to make sure that that's secure and it's not going to come out, I can put a dab of glue on the end. I'm just using an all-purpose glue and put that in. Now this little coil at the top is what holds my pictures. And I'll just slot those in. Let me take one from here so you can see, and slot that right in between the grooves. And that holds it nice and secure. Now we can make all different colors. Just remember, I want to make sure that I always have 3 at the top. I'm going to go around and making this one a little smaller because I'm using the cap. Come down, and on this one I'm going to zigzag it. And this is going to be a shorter one in the bottom, and I'm not going to add any beads to it. And that one will slide in here. Now you can make as many or as few. You might want to fill it with pictures of you and your friend together, or it might be something to cheer them up like their pets. So if we take a look at the finished one, this one has our pet pictures in it, and we've used 4 different colors of wire. And it says get well soon. When you're doing craft projects, it's really important to choose the right pen for the right surface. Not only will your craft projects look better, but you'll have great success in what you're doing. So let's get started. The first pen I'm going to talk about is a gel pen. Gel pens, the ink flows from the pen. You can see on these swirls, these come in all sorts of colors. There's metallics, neons, and the ink is just flowing along. They're great on paper projects. They're fade resistant, they're archival, and they're great like scrapbooking, card making. If you take a look at these examples, down the side of this picture, it would be equally great just to use right on the photograph. They're waterproof, they're even chemical proof, nothing, so these will not fade. So they're really good for scrapbooking or a card that you want to last. Also, if on a shiny surface like this, on these gift bags, they're not even going to smear even though this is shiny. So you can see I've added it all along the candles here and here along the gift bag as well. Now the next pen is a 3D opaque pen, and it also is going to dry really puffy. Let me show you this on this plastic folder. I'm going to write my name on it. Now you really see the effect of this when you see it filled in. So I'm going to fill in a circle. Now as this dries, it's going to dry not only puffy, but 3D. If we take a look at the card here, we filled in this window card on the transparency. The teal color and the lime color were both done with an opaque puffy ink. You can see they're very opaque, you can't see through them, and it gives very good coverage, and it's archival. Now, if we look here, all of these colors, and you can tell that they're opaque, you can't see through them, which is the pen I just showed you. Now here on this pen, it's going to be clear or transparent where you're going to see through the color. Let me show you an example. I'm going to take it on this ornament, and you can use these on so many surfaces, on plastic, on glass, even on a cell phone. I'm going to draw a heart. Let me turn this around. Now as this dries, it's going to dry to a glaze. And coming up in the next segment, we're going to show you some great examples of using this on transparencies and making a great card. But if you can see, as this fills in and dries, it's going to puff up and become like a clear glaze, almost like a stained glass effect. I can use it even on a CD to label it. I'm just writing my CD. But as this dries, the big effect is really as it dries. This is also a gel-based pen. If you look here on the cell phone, you can see transparent, so you identify your cell phone. On a card, again on a window card, but you see how you can see through that? If we go to this page and the 3D embellishments, it's perfect when used with stickers and also on glass. It gives that really nice translucent look. Now the next pen is a very fine tip or a micro tip pen. These are fade resistant, they're waterproof, and it's a permanent marker. They come in all different colors, but extremely small tips. If you can see how tiny that is. This is when you want a really intricate design or to do something very, very tiny. So I've got these little flower cards. It works great on paper as well as other surfaces. And it's not going to smear or feather. Go around this whole flower. And then let's take the black and go around the center. You can see you can get such a precise line and get in a very, very tiny place. You know what, a lot of times technical drawers, or if you're working in art, if you start to study architecture or something like that, you're gonna really become familiar with this type of pen. You can see too, we've used it on a scrapbook page because we wanted to write some things in our own handwriting and add some very fine details. They come in all different widths. Now the last pen that we're going to show is an opaque pen. Not only is it permanent, but you can see it's going to be a very thick color. It's great on plastic. I'm going to draw a design. So if you're doing a craft project that includes a clear plastic or a colored plastic, it works equally well on light or dark colors, and it works on surfaces that are really normally very, very hard to get the color to stay. And this is not going to bleed, and it's not going to smear or come off. Another big factor is that there's no smell. A lot of times pens like this used to have an odor, which was hard for them to work. And I'm doing it on wood. Do you see what a nice even coverage you get on that? And there are so many colors. Now I'm using a fine point here, but there's also a wider or a bullet point. If you can see here, we've used it on plastic, and we can make stars, designs. It also can be used on transparency, and this is opaque, but this is a flat finished as opposed to the pen we saw before where it was puffy. It works great on gift bags, especially things that are very dark colored. It's really good on vellum. And I don't know if you know, if vellum is like a clear or a very transparent paper, but it has a very smooth surface. So you want to use a pen that's going to remain opaque on that surface and not feather. It's also really fun on shrink plastic. I'm going to show you an example here. If we were drawing a star on shrink plastic, this is a product that then goes into the microwave. Into the oven, and it will shrink and become small. So when we start out with something this side, it will come down to about half the size, and that's what was used to make the embellishments. So the important thing to remember is that choose the right pen to match the right surface, and all your crafting will be successful. Our next project is a card for your best friend featuring 3D ink. Here's what you'll need to get started. First of all, we've started with some stickers. We have a glue stick, construction paper in 2 colors, some clear transparency, and then we're using 3D opaque ink pens and also metallic ink. Then on our basic tools, we've got a pencil, a ruler, and scissors. So the first thing that we want to do is to take our cardstock, and we're going to fold it in half, and you can make this whatever size you want your card to be, and this is going to be a window card. Now, what I'm going to do is measure across the top, and this is 4 inches. So 1/2 of 4 inches is 2 inches, and I made a little mark there. And then I'm going to make a pencil line down the middle of the card. Now, I want to make a heart, and I want it to extend from about 1.5 inches down and 1 inch from the bottom. So I took my ruler, put a mark at 1 inch, and then made another mark at 1.5 inches. Now, with my pencil, and I'm going to turn it to me so it's easier for me to draw, I'm going to draw a heart. Now, an easy tip is if you fold this in half, rather than trying to cut through the center, I now can put my scissors down and cut out my heart. When that's all cut out, it's going to look like this, but there's going to be a fold right here, but don't worry, I'm going to cover that. Also, if you have any pencil lines, just get a good eraser and erase those off. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to apply my transparency to the back. We could do it with tape or we could do it with a glue. So I'm going to take my glue pen and I'm going to apply it to the back of the heart. Now this is on the inside of the card. And I'm just going to apply it around the outer edge. And it's important to use a glue that will stick to plastic. So I'm going to glue that down. So now I have my heart in the center and it's transparent. The next thing I want to do is to take these great stickers. If you can see, these actually have spaces. They're not a complete sticker. And I'm going to put my sticker in the center. And this time I'm going to do a star because my best friend is a star. And I'm going to take this little border and I'm going to put 3 of the tiny little flowers on the bottom. Then trim that off, see, so you can see that with my scissors. And then I'm going to put the rest at the top. And that's going to cover my crease, and it's also going to be a part of my design. I'll trim that one off right here. Okay, now you can see I've chosen silver because I like the way it looks with this pink, but you also could choose gold. You could do the same thing on a ceramic surface like I did earlier in the show. So I'll put these to the side. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to take my pens, and these are the 3D opaque pens. When you open off the cap, they have a little tiny tab or a little plastic on it. You want to remove that so then you can color with the pen. And I'm going to color on the inside of the star. Now watch as I fill this in. As they dry, it's going to be opaque and it's going to fill in and it's going to create a 3D ink effect where when if you rubbed your finger, and I've got one here that's done, if you rub your finger, it's a raised surface on your artwork. So let's take another color. I'm going to add pink to the outside. And you can see that pink, and it's creating just a beautiful effect. And let's do a couple other colors just so you can see how pretty and bright they are. Green, oh, I like the way the green looks a lot. And pink and green look so pretty together. Now you could color in that design whatever your favorite colors are or your friend's favorite colors. The other thing I'm going to do is to add some dots. And I'm just going to do a pattern like this was a shooting star. Now, the dots are right now look very almost transparent, but they're going to become opaque and raised. Color that one again. And you might also choose to do a pattern that went all the way to the edge. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take an opaque marker, and these are metallics, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing, but this is going to be a flat surface, and I'm going to fill in the little flowers at the top. And I'm doing green and purple. Make sure that's stuck down well. And the last step is I'm going to take pink to coordinate, and I'm going to write best friends. And you might want to do this in pencil first, just to make sure that your letters are going to fit exactly. And then you can continue that design with either a dot or a star or something else to finish off. Your last step is to add our green paper underneath and to write a message. And then you can see the card, the transparency right over this beautiful color. And if we look at our finished cards, not only you can say best friends, thank you, or whatever, even happy birthday. Friendship bracelets are all about creating one bracelet for you and one for your best friend. To start out, we're going to start with some stretch cording. It comes in anywhere from a 0.5 millimeter all the way up to a 1.8 millimeter, and it's clear and it's stretchy. So that means you're not going to need any kind of tools except your scissors to work with. So the first thing we want to do is talk about some plain or very simple bracelets. We have the first one, these are large hole beads, and we've just done a color pattern by choosing our beads. And the second one, it's another pattern, but this pattern is a little bit different, and it also has an alphabet bead so you can put your initial in it. The last one is if you want to spell out a name. This one is Melanie, and there are different color beads in between, and they're graduated size. In the last example, we're using all different colors in the blue, purples, and pinks. Now what these all are is they're stretchy. To finish them off, all we do is tie an overhand knot, put a dab of glue on it, and they're good to go. So let's get started on our own. Now, to choose how long you need, if you were doing a standard bracelet, you're going to go around your wrist and add about 3 to 4 inches because you want to have plenty of room to knot. Once you get better at this, you can even have it shorter, but I like to have a little extra cording. Now in this one, I've started out with a pattern, just the teal, yellow, and the blue, teal, yellow, and blue. But now I'm going to mix it up and make it a little bit different. I'm going to add another teal. I'm actually going to add an odd number of teal on. That's 3, let's go 4, oops, kind of this blue teal color, 5. Then instead of going back, instead of starting a new bead, I'm going to come back through the original bead. And what that's done is create a loop or a pendant shape. So this would be great if you were making a necklace or if you wanted to do a different design. So that's one way to vary your bracelet. And you can create all different loops. Now if you were using smaller beads, you could have a much more intricate design. Now this next bracelet looks so much more intricate, but actually it's just as easy because we're just stringing. The chain is in all one row and the beads are singling and being added on. And I'm using the very, very small millimeter cording. So what I've done is I've strung a bead on. Now I'm going to go back through the chain. And because the cord is just stiff enough, it'll allow me to go right in through the loop. And I've counted down maybe about 5 or 6. It can vary. And that'll pull it up. And you see how you get that nice curvy effect, which makes a great bracelet. So you go all the way along until you get to the end. Now on this one, make sure you cut off enough cord to start out with. You're going to need at least 3 times the width of your wrist to get enough because you're curving around. Now in this next blue example, I've gone up to a little bit larger millimeter because my chain is just a little bit more open. And if you look at the example here, it's just a different pattern and we've added sterling beads into it. So if I pull this up, I've got this blue. Now I'm going to add one of the little heart beads on and slide that on. And then I'm using that as a divider. So let's go pull that tight. And now let's go back through the chain. So the chain is kind of forming almost like a nesting around that heart. Pull that tight and then pull tight again so you can get that same design. But remember, these are all going to be stretchy. Now let's go to this next example. On this one, if you can see here, it goes into 2. I'm going to show you how we did that with a larger bead. So I've strung 2 of these red beads on, but I have 2 pieces of cord. And I'm going to put 2 pink on one side. Oops, grab that. 1, 2. And most designs look better if you add a 3rd bead. So I'm going to add a white one. Then on the other side, I'm going to start out with 2 white and 1 red. Slide that down. Now you see you've created 2 lines. Now you want to make sure that your beads have a large enough hole to go through 2 pieces of cord. So I'm going to take another bead and let's go back to red here. And now thread those together. So now we can go thread a few together, just like on this example where there are 4 beads, and keep coming back and forth in between. And that's what makes this look so intricate. Now on this last example, it's the same stretchy, but instead of the last time where we had the chain go around the cord, or cord or nest around the bead. This time we've added more cording in and gone through every loop to make it really very stretchy and springy. So these are just some great ideas on different ways you can create friendship bracelets. A true basic skill is how to make and keep friends. Hope today's show gave you some ideas for gifts for those great friends. Next week, Hands On is headed on vacation with projects for travelers. See you then.
Projects from today's show plus other ideas are available on the web at craftsforkids.com. This is program 1110. Hands On is sponsored in part by Elmer's Products, Inc., manufacturers of a variety of adhesives, arts and crafts, and office products for use at home, school, or business for over 60 years. www.elmers.com. Dixon Ticonderoga. Our colors, their world. www.dixonusa.com.